The First Sliver versus Olivia Voldaren. Yeah, keep on that. We've got 3 of our colours and 4 lands. So, worst case scenario, I think it's actually worth getting out the Diffusion Sliver. Luckily we're on the draw, so yeah, we have some time to make a decision on whether we want to get that out before our commander or not. Do like to have a surplus of slivers in the hand to get down once we've gotten the first sliver down, because it gives our slivers Cascade, and it has Cascade itself for 7/7 for 5 mana in 5 colours. And we've just gotten into one of our previous sliver commanders. Get down the tropical island and pass the turn. Olivia Voldaren is 4 mana in Rakdos for a 3/3 with flying. For 2 mana it deals 1 damage to a creature and it becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. You get a plus counter on Olivia. And then for 5 mana you can gain control of a target vampire for as long as you control Olivia Voldaren. And there's an Elvish Visionary from our opponent, vampire version. Okay, don't have red unfortunately, we're actually missing a couple of our colours, both red and white. Yeah, I think we go for the Diffusion Sliver. I'd like to use the Diffusion Sliver to take our opponent by surprise actually, so maybe do that on turn 4, just before we get the first sliver out. Because if our opponent goes for Olivia, then no doubt they want to start pinging our creatures. The Diffusion Sliver is whenever a sliver you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, then you counter it unless they pay 2. So that will include Olivia's ping ability. And there is a Stensia Masquerade. Attacking creatures you control have first strike, and when they deal combat damage to a player you put a plus counter on it, so that's exactly what happened with the Dusk Legion Zealot. Alright, a Cyclonic Rift isn't terrible to get into. Not drawing into lands unfortunately. Yeah, we'll go for the Siphon Sliver here. And then the Diffusion Sliver next turn. And we just need to keep our fingers crossed and hope that we get into the other colours we need. And that's exactly why I didn't want to run out the Diffusion, because in a Rakdos deck you can definitely expect removal from your opponent. And then another plus counter going on this thing. Okay, Cavern of Souls gets us into another colour for slivers. Let's get that down and name slivers. Then, because we've got a couple of slivers in hand, I think we're okay to get down both the Sentinel and the Diffusion. Sentinel will give our slivers vigilance. And I think I just noticed there that the Reflecting Pool now taps for Wooburg because Cavern of Souls can create Wooburg, so we're actually on 5 colours next turn. I didn't realise that that's how Reflecting Pool works, but makes sense with a Cavern of Souls in play, I suppose. Dusk Legion and the Gatekeeper of Malakir coming in, and we will allow both of them. They'll both get more powerful with the Stensia Masquerade. And what is that? Anawan the Ruined Sage. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player sacks a non-vampire creature. I think that's the Sentinel Sliver for us, because we definitely want to get our first sliver on the go. And that has Cascade, so here's hoping for another sliver. Yep, there's the Death Touch one. I think that will actually be the one that we sacrifice. And we are not going to swing in. We'd like some kind of evasion, actually. And then each player sacks a non-vampire creature, so we get rid of our Venom Sliver. I think it's going to be the least useful of all of the creatures that we have in play currently. 3 cards left in our opponent's hand, and they can get Olivia down, and they would be able to ping something if it wasn't for this creature here. If they've got removal in hand, they may have to spend a turn off to get rid of that. Okay, Falconwrath Noble. So that will be a blocker in the air if we manage to get into a flying creature. Now that looks like bait to me. Might be able to give one of those things Death Touch. So we'll just let those through. Alright, another land is good, so what do we want? I think Belligerent Sliver. And then Anguished Unmaking sounds good, so why don't we tap our mana much better than that. Cavern of Souls is what we want. This will give our creatures Menace, as well as a Cascade. Alright, we just get into a Signet. That's more mana towards Cyclonic Rift at least. What are we on there? Yeah, we're on Rift mana next turn. So let's get down the Polluted Delta. And we'll just hold back another turn. It might have to be a couple of strikes that we get into. But before we go into our opponent's turn, we're going to go for Anguished Unmaking onto Anawan. That will not trigger the Falconwrath Noble because it exiles, but it will lose us 3 life. Oh, and another Aristocrat effect in Blood Artist. 2 cards left in our opponent's hand. Haven't seen Olivia yet. Swinging in again, and I am going to block. I just want to see if my opponent does have some kind of combat trick, death touch type thing. So we'll block there. And the damage has been dealt already, so if they have death touch, then it's too late for that. I think we definitely need to get into a Cyclonic Rift next turn. We get drained a couple of times from the Aristocrats. Getting rid of our Siphon Sliver has definitely thrown a spanner in the works for us. Could really have done with some lifelink here. And there we go, that's what our opponent was going for, the Morbid. That's Tragic Slip onto the Belligerent Sliver, so it's the Menace that they're worried about. And they are going to have to pay a couple more into that if they don't want it countered. And we get drained a couple more times because a creature died. 1 card left in our opponent's hand. Well, there is a Cloud Shredder Sliver. And with Vigilance, that might actually be worth going for. Although I don't think we can get both of them going, can we? We're going to struggle. We need to produce both red and white twice, which we're nowhere near. So, in that case, I think it's just worth swinging in with the First Sliver. No doubt they're going to allow this through. And then is it worth getting down the Cloud Shredder Sliver? I do wonder. Are they going to kill off some of our stuff with a board wipe and go for Aristocrat wins? Yeah, I think we just have to hold up the Rift. It's not the end of the world casting the Cloud Shredder next turn anyway, because it does give flying and haste. Really good new sliver from Modern Horizons. Underrated in my opinion, haven't heard anyone singing its praises. Now then, I think I'm going to block the Gatekeeper of Malakir and just take 2. Actually, we won't be able to use Polluted Delta then, will we? So in that case, yeah, that's tricky. We're just going to have to go for it now, methinks. If we hadn't have taken the hit previously, we wouldn't be in as tricky a situation. I like to get down Rift at the end of my opponent's turn so that they don't have any chance of recasting stuff. But now they're going to get a second main phase to go for stuff like that. They can get down Falconwrath Noble and Blood Artist. They might go for Gatekeeper of Malakir and Blood Artist. Or a Dark Ritual and get everything down. Yep, there's Blood Artist. And then we will be forced to sacrifice the Delusional Sliver. I think Vigilance is going to be way too good this game. We get drained again. Yeah, I really wish we hadn't lost the Siphon Sliver at the beginning of the game, but we couldn't get down the Sentinel Sliver because we didn't have white at the time, or I don't think we did. I remember going to cast the Sentinel Sliver and then seeing that we didn't have white. Well, another fetch is no good. So, we're pretty much done for here. Let's Get down Cloud Shredder. And Cascade. Get into Worldly Tutor. Don't see what we can grab here, but maybe there's something. Actually, could go for Double Strike, couldn't we? 7, 14, 21, yeah, Bone-Scythe Sliver. That will give us haste. And then we get that down, and I think that's Wooburg. We have to... Oh, how annoying. Yeah, we have to crack this in order to get the Sliver Overlord into play. Oh, what a shame. Well, we'll see if we have any dumb luck. Had I have done that before, I wouldn't necessarily have drawn into the Worldly Tutor anyway, so don't feel too bad about that, but I thought we might have gotten away with a victory there. Let's just try our luck here. We'll Cascade. A Demonic Tutor. Yeah, unfortunately not. Might as well just get a Sol Ring, because we can actually cast that. Yeah, had we gotten into the Double Strike, we could have gotten commander damage off on our opponent. Maybe there's something we could have done there, I don't know. As it stands now, either our opponent deals lethal combat damage to us, or they drain us out with Blood Artist. We've just taken too much damage. Had we have not taken the big hit previously, and actually blocked with the First Sliver, then maybe we could have gotten a win out here, but I was sure our opponent had some kind of death touch or death shenanigan of some kind, and it turns out that that's exactly what they had. The Tragic Slip. Now our opponent just has to swing in. We have no cards in hand. We are going to try and give them the satisfaction, but if they just want to play around with level counters, then we're certainly not. Okay, and a Falconwrath Noble as well. And there we go. -2/-2 onto this will kill it, and therefore drain the Aristocrats, or force the Aristocrats to drain. And that's us done. And there we are. Good game to our opponent. Maybe could have piloted that better. Still getting used to this deck. I've only played it a few times really. It tends to be the case that I get a good game with Slivers, unless someone scoops early, but yeah, if we actually get a full game, it tends to be an interesting one with this deck, so I don't tend to play it all that much. There's certain decks that you have to play for hours on end in order to get a good game out of them, but that doesn't tend to be the case with the First Sliver. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. I will get another game out for next week and see if we can win that one. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.